Welcome, it's Trogdor8 Freebird bringing you 10 things we players want in World of Warcraft. Keep in mind this list only represents things I want in World of Warcraft as a WoW player. Not everyone will agree with me, and that's fine. Just remember to be respectful. Number 10 is being able to personalize armor, namely through dyes and being able to color the armor differently. I can only imagine all the interesting, neat things people would be able to create if this feature was in Draenor. It's not really a big deal one way or the other though, so it's only number 10 on the list. Number 9 on our list is a bigger backpack. We've had the same 16-slot bag that you can't replace for 10 years. For the first couple of expansions, this was fine, considering it was difficult to acquire larger bags anyway. Bigger bags and the reagent bank most certainly do help, but they also reinforce the idea that the backpack just isn't adequate anymore. This isn't a huge issue, which is why it's low on the list, but it's something that definitely should have been improved a long time ago. Number 8. Challenge mode is still as challenging as it was before looking for raid, and still only drops a single piece of 640 gear every day. While challenge mode was useful before the raids, it's simply been outdated by the incredibly easy looking for raid for high mall bosses in terms of gear. An update of the gear level is all I ask for on that part. Also, challenge mode should be included in the dungeon finder with high requirements. I ask this because of how annoying it is to get a pug group going, let alone a good one. I think the requirements should be at least getting gold in proving grounds and having a 630 item level gear in every slot or better. This has high enough requirements to be achievable by a decent amount of pugs, but also low enough requirements to where this section of the dungeon finder wouldn't be dead. Number 7. Right now you're able to spend a ridiculous amount of Pixies crystals, but can't earn them quickly at all. With High Mall's release, earning Pixies crystals to spend on gear would take way too long. Right now it's pretty easy for people who play in Ashran to earn honor points, and after you buy all the honor gear, you can only spend honor on outdated crafting items and seals of tempered fate. Making an option to buy Pixies crystals with honor would create a better balance between earning and spending both Pixies crystals and honor. I can understand how including garrison resources or gold could upset the balance if not done right, but I think buying Pixies crystals with honor should satisfy everyone involved. Number 6. The amount of time it takes to go from 1 to 100 for your first character is pretty well balanced. However, if you're an altaholic, like myself who plans on leveling to 100 with 8+ characters, the experience can get old and tedious very quickly. The same idea applies similarly to leveling professions as well. If you get to max level on one character, Blizzard, in my opinion, should make it faster to level your next character to 100. Then after that character reaches 100, they should make it easier to level your next character, and so on. A similar principle should apply to professions to make it pace similarly to your character's leveling. This would make it more fun to level characters by keeping up a good pace, even if it is repetitive. Number 5 is having legacy servers. This has been requested by many in the community, considering doing older dungeons at its appropriate level is simply not viable. The stats make the characters overpowered at lower levels even if they're using content level appropriate gear. In any case, this could be a fine business decision even if they had a small fee for the servers. It would also keep a lot of players from resorting to emulators as well. Number 4 is garrison personalization. We all have a mine, an herb garden, a fishing shack, and a small bunch of buildings ranging from small to large. The order of our buildings and what our buildings specifically are personalized to our wants and needs. There are also monuments to place once you achieve certain goals in Warlords of Draenor. The problem is that those are the only things you can effectively change to personalize your garrison. In my opinion, the primary reason why we wanted garrisons in the first place is so that we could personalize it and make it our own unique area, like a home. I think Blizzard should make our garrisons more customizable, like you can see in Rift, where you may have the same or very similar assets, but you can choose to use it in nearly any way you wish. Number 3. As many of us know, the World of Draenor is simply Outland 35 years in the past through an alternate timeline. There is some neat content from Burning Crusade recreated and reimagined into beautiful areas, and that's nice to see. In fact, it's probably somewhat agreeable to say that most of the great areas are those that we can recognize from Burning Crusade, although it could just be because I played during Burning Crusade. Still, it would be great to see more content including the Blood Elves and things like the Tempest Keep before it became the Tempest Keep. Number 2. Some games have interesting features, and some of these features in other games can be even more interesting. With the addition of garrison missions, it gave me the idea of adding missions for players, and it would be great if those missions could be created by other players. The community can be creative, and having a mission creating system similar to the Foundry from Neverwinter I think would be a great addition to World of Warcraft. Number 1. World of Warcraft's lore is actually very interesting. There are very many interesting aspects to the stories that surround WoW and its expansions. The problem is that not many people know about it. Sure, there are a lot of smaller communities who are more invested into the story, but those people have to do a lot of research just to get the basic stories of World of Warcraft. The presentation of these stories in the game are lackluster at best. They have a few good cinematics and cutscenes that explain a few things, but they're way too infrequent to let the user understand the story that's being told. Reading the quest log is a way you can get a lot of these stories, nearly the only way in fact, but that should be a thing of the past. Modern games have their own pros and cons, but one of the big pros of modern gaming is the fact that they can present their stories in ways you never could before. Stories are told in a much more cinematic light now, and Blizzard is still presenting most of its WoW lore in quest logs when they should be focusing more on cinematics, cutscenes, or just even a bunch of informative voice acting while questing. They don't need a gigantic CGI cinematic for every quest, but just something that tells you why you're killing a bunch of a particular couple of creatures or poisoning the cooking pots. I bet most of you didn't know that poisoning the cooking pots was the game's way of telling you that Sylvanas and Verisa, her sister, were attempting to poison Garrosh. There's a lot more to that story than just that fact as well, but the game doesn't do a very good job at telling you that. In any case, if there's one thing I could add to WoW, it's a way to make the stories like this one more comprehensive for the average user like most modern games are. That's the list of 10 things I'd like to see in World of Warcraft as a player. Sorry if I sounded a little cynical throughout the video, I didn't mean to. Anyway, did you agree with this list? What would you like to see in World of Warcraft? Do you like my ideas and want to see more top 10 lists? If so, leave a comment and I'll see what I can do. Thanks for sticking around.